Hello YouTube chess lovers, my friends, this is Gunjan here. Welcome to the 23rd episode of my chess trap series. This is a special episode guys, as I'm going to show you one of my own invented trap in Nimzo-Indian Defense from the black perspective. The great thing about this trap is it is very much forceful from the opening, and so far I have catched 2 title players and few 2000 plus rated players in this line. In fact, there are only 2 FIDE games played in this line, so you can literally use this as a great surprise weapon in the tournament. The opening arises after the following move order: d4, knight to f6, c4, e6, and now the typical Nimzo-Indian defense arises on the board after knight to c3 and bishop to b4. By far, the most popular choice for white here is either to play queen to c2 or the move e3, and in this video we are going to concentrate on the move e3, which is known as Rubinstein variation. Well, here black has tried many options, but I like the direct approach, and that start with knight to e4. So immediately black is attacking on c3. And again, the most popular choice from the white is to play queen to c2, not only defending the c3 knight, but counter-attacking the e4 knight. Okay, here black will continue with f5, protecting the knight. And now white has tried these 2 options. Amongst them, f3 is a very bad move. The simple reason is, after queen check, the king cannot move as white will lose the piece. So by force, white has to play the move g3, and after knight captures g3, of course white cannot recapture as the rook on the corner will hang. But white idea is he wants to play queen to f2 and asking black, hey, don't you blunder your knight? Well, the answer is nope, as black has this sneaky move f4, protecting the knight, and doesn't matter whether white continue with a knight to h3 or e captures f4. After any of this move, black can simply retrieve the knight back to the f5 square, same time protecting the queen, and after queen captures and knight captures, well, white get his material back, but look at the pawn structure on the king side. They are completely shattered, and in this case, black has a superior pawn advantage in the endgame. The more natural move in this position is bishop to d3, which in fact double hit on the e4 knight and asking black what you are going to do next. Anybody who doesn't know this line can easily play either the move d5 or knight captures c3, but imagine my surprise, black is going to continue with b6. If now white doesn't capture the knight, then black will support with bishop to b7. So obvious choice for the white is to capture this knight, and after f captures e4, queen captures e4 is literally bagging, as not only white wins the pawn, but also attacking the rook on the a8. So what can be the more natural than this move? Well, so far if you surprise, then you will be double surprised after my next move. Castle on the king side. What a move! Well, it seems like white is attacking the rook and black has completely ignored it. If at this point white doesn't capture the rook in the corner, then black will simply continue with d5, and for a pawn he get ample compensation, and I have attached a model game in the PGN which will give you a very good idea how to play such a position with the initiative. The obvious question comes to your mind, well, that's fine, but what happens if white just grab the rook in the corner? Well, so far I have played 8 games, and in 7 games all of my opponent who are 2000 plus, they have immediately captured the rook, thinking that I have made a blunder. And I think that will be the case of many of your opponent. They will simply grab the rook in the corner and thinks that there is nothing is happening in this position. Well, guess what? This is exactly black wants, as white has entered into the black trappy camp. The trappy business start with knight to c6. So black has achieved the first step, trapping the queen in the corner of the board. Here, two moves has been obviously tried, and amongst them, d5 looks more natural as it attacked the knight, and if black moves the knight, then queen can come out very easily with a whole rook up. But in fact, this is a big time blunder move, and many 2000 plus rated opponents fallen into this. Before I show it to you what black has to do, I want you to pause this video and find out a great continuation which gives black a winning advantage. Okay then, let's start. The first move is very obvious. We are going to capture on d5, and after white recapture, we have this star move, queen to f6. So it's a double hit, f2 pawn as well as on the c3 knight, and the important point is white cannot play knight to f3. Why? Well, here comes the answer. Black will play bishop captures c3. Of course, white cannot recapture as the rook on the a1 will hang. And the second move, king to f1, is not even possible due to the simple threat bishop to a6. So by force, white has to play king to d1. And as the king is already misplaced, black can continue his assault with knight to b4. So the simple threat is knight to d3, and more pieces are coming closer to the king. But as the knight moves away, it is very obvious that white queen can come out. So isn't that a bad move? Well, of course not. In fact, black has invited white queen to come out, and this has happened in one of my game where my 2100 rated opponent continued with queen captures a7, thinking that I made a mistake and now his queen is free. But to his surprise, the game finished instantly as black has this lethal move in this position, queen to g6. Once again a double hit, but this time it's more deadly as queen to c2 straight away checkmating the white king. After a long thought, my opponent continues with bishop to d2, which is in fact the only saving resource. But nevertheless, the game finished very quickly after queen check, king to e1, bishop captures d2 check, knight captures d2, knight to d3 check, king to f1, and now the simple move, queen captures d2. And even though white has three major pieces on the board including the queen, he cannot stop the devastation on f2. So it is very obvious here that white cannot play knight to f3. So only other good try for the white is to play f4, stopping any threat on f2. But still, black will continue with bishop captures c3. And this time around, white has an escape square, king to f2. What I found amazing about this position is, even though black two pieces are hanging, still white get losing position. Here, black will continue with bishop to a6, attacking the queen, and white has nothing better than capturing the rook. So at least white get two rooks for the queen. But after king captures f8, black has given a great choice to white. You can take either of the piece and the king will slip in the bed. The first option, d captures c6, is obviously bad due to the simple move bishop captures b2. Obviously white cannot take the bishop as the rook on the corner hang with a check. So white has to play rook to b1, but after bishop captures c1, black obtain a healthy material, as white cannot even touch that bishop due to the simple check, and white is going to lose more material and in fact the game. The more critical try by white is to play b captures c3, but even after this move, white is not out of the wood, as black has this lethal reply, knight to e5. So black is targeting nothing but checkmating the white king, and white has hard time to dealing with it. One of my own game against 2200 rated opponent continues with knight to e2. I played knight to g4 check, and my opponent played king to f3. Well, now the task becomes very easy. I simply capture on e2, keeping in mind that none of the white piece has been developed, and after king captures e2, simple move queen captures c3, attacking the rook. Bishop to d2 happen in the game. I give this check, and after king to f3, a tactical blow by black, queen captures d5, giving up the knight, but in return, after this check, not only getting the material back, let's say I continue with g6, giving a check first, and after king to e5 and queen captures d2, after the whole sequence, white king funnily placed on e5, and black has this two passer which is not easy to stop. After few moves, black has easily converted the full point. So if your opponent plays d5, then disaster will literally stuck and the game can be finished very quickly. More natural choice here for the white is to continue with knight to f3. But even after this move, black initiative will run down on the board with queen to f6, castle on the king side, and now the star move, bishop to a6. White response is force. White has to take the rook, and this time around black will take with the queen. The most amazing part I found about this variation is, generally in Nimzo, it is black who give up the bishop pair, but in this variation, the reverse happen as black obtain the bishop pair and we get a queen for two rooks. But the most important thing is, the activity of black piece are tremendous in this variation. Here black is attacking on c4 and white should defend this pawn. For example, if he doesn't care about this pawn and routinely continue with a developing move such as bishop to d2, then the simplest is you take this pawn, and after rook goes somewhere, let's say rook to e1, then black can simply play bishop to e7, and those light square weaknesses create some nasty problems for the white camp. You might think, hang on, what happens after a3? Well, now the another route, knight to a5, and you cannot hide those light square weaknesses. I have attached a model game in the PGN which will give you how easily black plays in these positions. So accordingly, white needs to defend the c4 pawn, and there are two ways white can do it. The one way to achieve is to play knight to d2, which in fact the course of my game against a FIDE master, where here black can continue with bishop captures c3 and after pawn captures c3. In the game I continue with d5 and in fact won very easily, but later on I come to conclusion that apart from d5, queen to f5 is even stronger, as queen is sliding in to those weak light squares, and later on you can easily pick up some of the pawns on that side. Anyways, I have attached my game against FIDE master in the PGN, which will clearly show how difficult the position is to play as a white. Probably the most critical response here from the white is to play knight to b5, not only saving the c4 pawn but counter-attacking on c7 pawn. Nevertheless, black will continue with knight to a5. Now taking on either of the pawn is a big time mistake, as let's say after knight captures a7, black can simply play bishop captures c4, attacking the rook, and after rook to d1 and queen to a8, the knight is a simply goner. So it is very obvious that here white needs to protect the c4 pawn, and this is a course of my game against a 2300 rated opponent, where he continued with b3, a natural move, stopping any tactics on c4 and asking black, now what? Okay then, here comes the answer. The lethal blow, c6, and white loses instantly after this move. If knight captures a7, then queen to a8 and knight is a goner. If knight to c7, then we have bishop to c8, and on the next turn we are going to play bishop to d6 and nabbing that piece. So the only good response here for the white is to play a3, counter-attacking the bishop, and this is what happened in my game. But after the simple continuation, bishop to e7. Okay, white knight can escape on c3, but see the cost, as knight captures b3 happen on the board, attacking two piece, rook to b1, bishop to c4, tempo move, rook to e1, and it's time for the simplification. Knight captures c1, rook captures c1, bishop captures a3, and after the whole sequence, black obtains two pass pawns, and with the bishop pair, this combo turned out too much for the white camp. That's it guys. I hope you enjoy and learn one of my wonderful trappy invention in the Nimzo-Indian defense. Remember that if your opponent plays queen captures e4, castle on the king side, allow him to capture the rook and then get hell loose with knight to c6 and get some very nice victories in the tournament. Well, thank you for watching this video. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll meet you in my next episode very soon. Bye and take care.